Hi. In this video, I thought I would show you something from my collection. It's the Amiga Power-Stick joystick. Some of you may know that before Amiga was telling the world that they were making computers, they decided to make a new joystick that was meant to be for that system, but also would hopefully put them in good shape financially in 1983. Before their machine came out. And this is the joystick that they produced that I happened to buy for my Commodore 64 in 1983. You can see it says for the Atari 2600. Well, that makes a lot of sense because the Atari 2600, by the end of 1982, according to Brian Bagnall in the book Commodore, the Amiga Years, there were 10 million Atari 2600s. So that was a target market. So it says it's for the Atari 2600, the 400, the 800, the 1200 XL, also for Sears Video Arcade and the VIC-20. Notice what's absent is the Commodore 64 because it didn't exist when they were designing this. And then you can see also this is before Amiga was associated with Commodore. So it was its own company based in Santa Clara. Let's go to the bench and I'll show you what this looks like inside. Here's the device in its box. Let's give it a look. We have this sort of a sepia-toned plastic. Of course, that was clear when it was new. And apparently this is the convenient carrying case that they're supplying with it. That's a little ridiculous. Looks like they were probably meaning to sell at a store by hanging from this, and then they apparently had to put it in a box and wanted to make the best of it and say it had a carrying case. It's unusual, I guess, in that it's a smaller joystick than most. Has 2 fire buttons, has some special kinds of contacts in it. They kind of brag about the materials they make it out of. Looks like it's pretty well made. Let's take a look at what it looks like inside. I see it has two screws, 2 screws up here, and I took those out earlier and tried to open it up, and it doesn't open. So I'm guessing there are 2 more screws underneath this label. So to get that off, I'm going to use my rework station and heat that up and peel that one off. So here we are. Let's see. Just warm this guy up a little bit here. So there we have it. It looks like it was manufactured in the 34th week of 1983. And there's the 2 more screws that I suspected were there. These screws were about these other 2 were about the hardest screws I'd ever removed from a device. So let's see how these guys are. Now, one thing I didn't mention in the intro is Brian Bagnall wrote this, was writing this series of books, 3 already, about the history of Commodore, and this device is mentioned prominently in Commodore the Amiga Years. That hit the floor. And I want to read you a quote from the book. So Brian says, I think this is of the CES show. He says, after CES, Amiga sent press releases to major magazines announcing the feature of the Lorraine, which was to be the Amiga. Byte magazine commented, joystick maker Amiga Corporation is developing a 68,000 based home computer with a custom graphics coprocessor, which should sell for less than $1,000 late this year. So apparently some people knew them as a joystick manufacturer, and it seems from Brian's book it seems to have served at least 2 purposes. It helped them get in the black or work towards getting in the black. I'm sure they weren't because they were doing all this R&D and building the machine, but it also gave them this guise. They looked like they were a joystick manufacturer. So here's the device inside. Now, what they brag about with this particular device is that it's got 8 contacts instead of just 4. You might know the bubble contacts that are usually inside a joystick. Apparently, this has 8 contacts, and they brag that also that it's quieter, doesn't have this clickety-click to it. So they were doing something innovative here, If not, I mean, it's up, leave it up to you to decide if this is a quality joystick or not. So I don't want this thing to fall too much apart. Let's put that back. Now in here, I don't really see them, but let's see what's this about. It's got its own circuit board, and what's going on under here? Oh, so like a sort of a little like a carbon pad, with all these bumps on it, and apparently that just closes across some kind of contact on the board there. Interesting. So definitely a different construction. I'm just gonna put it all back together because I want to keep it in working order. And now I'm going to leave that decal off until I'm sure it's in working order. So why don't I get my 64 out, and we can see how it works. And there it is in all its glory, Atari Centipede for the 64. Certainly not particularly showing off the features of the 64, but like I said, it's an early game. Turn up the sound a little bit. Press F1 to start. Yeah, so sure enough, it works. You go different directions. Joystick has a kind of a funny feel to it. It's definitely comfortable in the hand, but it's a little weird. It's kind of dainty. Going back from the bench. So that's the Amiga Power-Stick, from circa 1983, designed a little earlier than that. While I was off camera, I put the decal back on, and so unusually, because I still kept the original box from when I bought this as a kid. I happen to have the manual for it. Shows the different systems you can use it on. That takes me back. I remember going to the stores, playing with the TI-99 4A, the VIC-20, and then the 64, and deciding which one I was going to beg my parents to buy for me. There's also a warranty registration, which I didn't send in. They want to know an awful lot about you, your household income, how old you are, what machine you're using, with all of that stuff. But it works great, and it's still in good working order. Anyway, just giving you a glimpse of something that I held on to for no particular reason, and I think the first Amiga product there ever was. Leave a comment if you had this thing, or if you have some thoughts about it. In the details, I'll put a link to the Atari Creeps video where he reviews this thoroughly as a gaming device. He's done a better job than I ever would, so give that a look.